Let me tell you guys something about making an intro. You get it right the first time, or it's a long, arduous journey of bad takes, and you just feel stupid because you're wasting time. I actually moved this conversation earlier. I asked Cassidy, please, can we do it at 9:30 so I can do everything I want to do in my day? Uh, and now I'm just watching the introduction. So let's get into it. It's been a while here, guys. I do the followers of the way on this channel. It's a live stream format. It's a lot of fun, this series, but I'm also missing my old conversation. And this is one of those. I'm really happy to have one of these again. Hopefully another one next week and in the next week. Meanwhile, we're finishing up the followers of the way, which has been an amazing journey. We have 3 more episodes to go at least. So that's coming up too, but we're working with kind of 4 schedules, so stay patient for that. Today, I'm introducing, well, not really, Cassidy's been on before, but we're talking about the festival she's organizing, and this is a banger. Sharing my screen now, showing the upcoming event. This is London, UK. If you're listening, don't worry, I'll do my best to describe it. London, June 19th till June 21st. We've got a one-man metal band, atheist who loves religion. We've got Paul van der Klei, who is a Christian Reformed pastor, and so much more. We've got Nathan Jacob, artist and scholar. Joseph, he's got an amazing YouTube channel about philosophy. Elizabeth, one of the best podcasts out there, in my view, has an amazing John Vervaeke conversation as well that I think you guys should check out. Bethel McGrew, I'm less familiar with, but I think she's an OG in the space. I've seen her on some of the US events, and she seems absolutely lovely. She writes on Substack. She's done writing on Peterson and C.S. Lewis. Glenn Scrivener he's an ordained minister, speaker, writer. Looks like a charismatic guy. Another different perspective. We've got Nemo the Mormon, which, yeah, that's, I don't think we've had someone of the Mormon faith in this little corner, at least not very vocally. So that's another perspective that I'm excited about. I'm gonna, well, Cassidy told me that she's also working on potentially more names, but this is already a lineup where I'm like, okay, let's do it. This is exciting. I'm gonna show you the ticket prices. So clicking on buy now, we've got speaker dinner add-on, we've got early bird deal, full festival pass, early bird deal 2, just a Saturday closing event. So there's a lot of options. Sunday afternoon event, Sunday closing event. Okay, believe it or not, my laptop died doing that. And so I just wanted to finish by saying Cassidy puts in a lot of work, and I really want this event to go through for her, but also for you guys. I think it's such a unique opportunity to get out there, make this embodied, meet some of the beautiful people that talk about meaning, that talk about religion, that dare to have difficult conversations, and then engage in them yourself. It'll be more than worth it, I'm sure. June 19th till June 21st. Check it out and please enjoy. Sure. So we're talking about Breakwater. I got an exciting email for the UK event. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I've talked about Breakwater in your channel before, but for those of you who have no idea who I am, which is highly likely, I am an event organizer and I work in the estuary space. And basically, estuary is this sort of movement where people are trying to have productive conversations across different ideological lines, whether it's religious, political, cultural, whatever. We just want to find ways to have conversations where we can honestly put on the table what we believe and deal with those tensions. And so the last 5 years, we've been putting on events throughout Europe to try to help in-person estuary groups grow and have these opportunities to do this in person in these very concentrated ways. And so this year we have the Breakwater Festival in London, which is a 3-day event where we bring speakers from all walks of life to come and have conversations together. And the theme is cross-pollination, conversing across religious lines. So we're bringing atheists, agnostics, Orthodox, the whole spread of different Christians and ex-Mormon, and we're all coming together and trying to figure out how do we do this? How do we have these conversations? And so I can give you a link to the website where we have the schedule and everything else. But some of the featured speakers, well, our sort of main contributors are Paul Vanderklay, a Christian former minister and YouTuber out of California. Nathan Jacobs, he's an Eastern Orthodox filmmaker and philo- philosopher, theologian, historian, and Jared Smith, who has the YouTube channel. His name's Heliocentric, but his sort of big sort of YouTube show, I guess you could call it, is Atheist Church Audit, where he goes as an atheist to different religious traditions and experiences church firsthand and gives honest, somewhat lighthearted perspective of his experience with that. But we also have features from Glenn Scribner, from Speak Life, Elizabeth Oldfield, Joseph Foley from Unsolicited Advice, and many more. And so, yeah, all the names and lists are there, and we're still kind of working on, on the lineup. There's a couple conversations we're having in the background to add a couple people to certain events. So who knows what it'll ultimately end up, but that's sort of, what we have together so far.
I think that's exciting. It's for the Europe crowd. I think it's almost as good as it's gonna get in terms of speakers. I saw your list. I told Cassidy offline, like, I don't know how you're doing this, but it's super exciting. It's really exciting.
Yeah, well, cards on the table. We've been doing this for 5 years. I don't know how much longer we can go. We're
Yeah,
trying to figure out different ways to be sustainable. But at this point,
yeah,
we've been breaking even, and that's fine for us because the relationships and the things that we've gotten out of it, we've seen come from it, are far more valuable than the money coming in. But, I'm a mother of two. I'm working with people trying to build a team, but the other two kind of co-collaborators that I was working with, they both stepped away for other personal family reasons
mm,
and things. And so I really respect them for making that move, but it puts me in a situation to say, okay, do I build up or do I ramp down? And so I said,
yeah,
hey, if we're gonna ramp down, we might as well go out with a bang. So I
with a
worked very
bang.
hard to try to figure out how do I put on an event that I would love to be at, that I would love to see, and that I think would answer the question of how do we wrestle with these religious questions in a way that, how do I say this politely? I feel is lacking in some of the other spaces
Mm,
in the religious exploration meaning question model. And what I mean by that, I think, is sort of that human connection of the reality of like, hey, humans are messy. We've got messy stories, and it doesn't always fit into sort of a clean cut box. And I'm kind of tired of the debate.
mhm.
Not that I don't think that it can't be helpful and productive, but if we don't put that human element first, I think sometimes it can be tricky. So I wanted to kind of wrestle with those questions. And so I tried my best to bring on speakers that I could think would represent different perspectives on each side of these sort of conversations, but do it in a way that wasn't going to lose the humanity, that was going to produce something maybe a little bit different, maybe not so clickbaity or satisfying for someone
Yeah,
who wants that strong, easy answer,
yeah.
but that I think could ultimately open up and plant seeds for something that could grow to a much more healthy, sustainable conversation.
Yeah, so it sounds like it could be a challenging thing as well for the
Yes.
speakers, but in a nice way. I think it's really participating. It's not just sitting back and you're hearing, "Oh, this is my opinion. Let's cheer for my guy or my girl." It's a connection.
Yeah. Well, and there's this recognition that true connection involves genuine conflict.
Yeah,
And I think sometimes the way that debates are set up or that things are things that play out, it doesn't it doesn't produce conflict in the way that we see it naturally in our world. Because when you're out in the world and you're having a conversation with, whoever is on the opposite side of whatever deeply held thing that you hold, you don't have a moderator sitting there going, you get 10 minutes and you get 10 minutes and they're back and forth, and
yeah,
you don't have 20 hours to prepare for this stuff. You just have your life and what you've learned and the best way that you know how to like express that. And so I think finding space to have that tension in a way that's not fully certain can be helpful in like processing through things. And
Yeah.
I think just looking at the lineup, there are probably people on like a spectrum of like certainties, right? Whether it's
Yeah.
the Christian faith or, just spirituality in general, but like even that, yeah, that sense of how much they understand about, yeah, this world and what we're participating in. I think there's like different levels of like processing and the ways that they've sort of approached to think through those questions. And so it's very tense as a organizer. You want to put on something that's good,
Yeah.
that's interesting, that people are going to want to listen to, and you also want to do it safely so that
Mm.
not only the speakers feel safe to share what they think and put something on the table, but the people watching. And so there's always a tension with that, but I find it very beautiful. And I
Yeah.
I think it's worthwhile and meaningful.
I also think it's good. It's not, you know, uh, I don't know what this channel's called, but they do like one atheist versus 100 Christians,
Oh,
or other way
Jubilee.
around. Jubilee, yeah, yeah. Which is, it has maybe a bit more potential to get explosive, and I think because you're representing different viewpoints, like a number of them, and hopefully in the participants as well, it will feel less like there's uh, this opponent thing going on, and
Yeah.
more like there's hopefully some minds that are able to be opened at least.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I find Jubilee really fascinating because I think if you're talking about some of these bigger channels who are doing meaning things, I
Yeah.
do think what they're doing is the most interesting.
Mm.
But it doesn't mean that some of the stuff that they do doesn't come without its pitfalls, like Surrounded being one of those things where it is a kind of an interesting concept and like an interesting game to play.
Yeah.
But you put a camera there and then a somewhat divisive person in the middle, surrounded by other people who want to be seen, to
Yeah.
help their careers. There's a performative aspect to it that I think makes it kind of difficult to do well.
Oh, I think I lost her for a second. Check, 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 check.
Oh,
And she's back. Yeah, we're
I'm
good.
back. Was I
Yeah.
gone?
No, you're good. But you said it makes it difficult to.
Yeah, I think it makes it difficult to have these conversations that keep sight of the humanity of the person we're against and being willing to look weak.
Yeah.
Because in that situation, you kind of want to be the strong man. And so there's like this battle. And there's not, like for me, I'm not like wholesale against debate or these kind of practices that help us sharpen how we have arguments and things, and if everybody's, you know, willing to play by the rules of the game, like that's fine. But for me, I really am more interested in not just the ideas, but the long-term connection and community participation within those and figuring out how do we understand how
Yeah.
these ideas are shaping how we live, how it's changing our communities, how it's making us more true, good, and beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think that it can sometimes um, not be the strongest way to get there, but it does have its benefits. Yeah, it's very interesting. It kind of depends on who's in the seat. There's this one surrounded with who's that guy, the doctor.
I'm not sure.
There's
Is
this
it Dr. Mike?
Dr. Mike. I
Yeah.
thought that surrounded was far more productive than most.
Ah, I should watch that then.
And
So
I
it's Dr.
think
Mike versus what do you know?
anti-vaxxers, I think, was
Ah,
one,
okay.
and then I think there was one about RFK.
Ah, yeah.
But I enjoyed that one more than most, and I do think it had something to do with the spirit in which Dr. Mike was
Yeah.
bringing into the conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very interesting. I don't know what your thoughts are about those.
Well, I like you, I thought it was one of the most interesting formats for sure. But I think by design it comes with just the potential of bad things coming out of people. I remember I watched the Jordan one out of interest, of course, and that was a bit sad. I think mostly
That
to
one
see him
was
so
sad.
angry.
That was
Just
that was
feel
sad.
bad for him. I actually liked some of his opponents. I remember I think there was one of those guys who popped out who ended up being interviewed by some of our friends. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Um, that was nice to see. But for me, it kind of confirmed that I'm worried about Jordan in many ways,
Mm.
and I think he feels like cornered a bit. He felt especially cornered there. I think he feels cornered in his life. I think his life is a Christian, or I don't know, was he labeled a Christian in that? Anyway, his
Well,
life is Jordan
that's the
Peterson versus 100 atheists.
that
That's
was
how
the
he does this.
controversy, right? Because
Yeah,
when it first came out, it was Christian versus atheists.
yeah,
And then it changed to Peterson versus an atheist, and there's
yeah,
what are you hiding? And again,
yeah. Did
I think
you?
there was
Yeah, go ahead.
some miscommunication in the production of that
Yeah.
created some tension. But yeah, that was a whole thing. But yeah, I agree with you. I was really disheartened by that whole conversation.
I was interested in recently, Jonathan Peugeot, who's a friend of Jordan's, released this video saying that he thinks that Jordan's situation health-wise has to do with basically him, if I'm phrasing it correctly, not submitting to God. Or the image he sketched was God has Jordan against the wall, and though some of these things are explicable through a psychological or a physical lens, there's something spiritual going on. He thinks it's like a and I don't know. What do you think of that analysis?
Well, in Orthodoxy, we definitely believe that the spiritual and the physical are unstrictably tied, right? Like you can't really pull them apart. The why about that, that's far above my pay grade.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. I look at my own life and I think the suffering that I've experienced in various ways has always been in some ways for my salvation,
yeah,
particularly when I'm looking at it rightly. And there's plenty of it that I'm looking at wrongly. But even when I don't see it, I think there is this trust in me that our suffering is for our good, to teach us something, to humble us, to test us. And you know, like if we look at the book of Job, there are people who suffer who've done nothing wrong, like that are righteous and just. But yeah, I think rightly oriented to suffering, it can bring the most joy and the most meaning that you've ever had.
yeah.
But it's quite the pain going through it.
Yeah, I agree. I like the framing of suffering is inevitable, so you can either choose your suffering or suffering will happen to you. And I think that if you choose it, you can choose your own yoke that you're gonna basically carry. Um, that ends up being much more meaningful, I think, than when it just happens to you.
Well, I was thinking about this recently, in the sense of like when everything's going our way, almost everybody's a like chipper, happy person,
Yeah,
or they have. It's far easier to do that. Virtue is revealed through the suffering.
yeah,
The kind of you know, not just to others, but like yourself. Like the realities of the places where I lack are revealed to me when I'm in pain.
mm,
And it becomes sort of this indicator of like, okay, how do I participate with the divine to heal this? And yeah, I have a lot of compassion for Peterson and his family, and that, yeah, that kind of suffering is overwhelming, particularly in the face of this kind of pressure that he has. But yeah, could it be helpful for him or necessary for him in this process of trying to understand what it is to be really human and how do we move towards the good? And could it be the thing that gets him off the ledge towards God? Only God knows, but
yeah, yeah. Okay, let's go back a bit into the breakwater. One dimension that I really like, the reason that I do this podcast for many reasons is the people side. And I've interviewed of your list Paul and Elizabeth, and that was also largely because I'm trying to understand the person. Let's see if my internet connection is still there.
I
Because
hear
I,
you, but you're frozen.
oh no, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, you hear me. That's good.
Yeah.
I think then in the recording it should be fine. And so I think hopefully the event will also be a bit getting to know seeing the personal. I mean, you're seeing the personal through the connection. But my question then is, are you incorporating estuary as well into yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you envision that thus far?
Yeah. So with the Breakwater events, we've always tried to make the community participation first and foremost. So we bring speakers that we think people are going to be interested in because that has a way of gathering people in a way that just having an estuary meeting might not. But we always want to put community first and try to make sure that there is space for those things. Now, as we've kind of grown, we've taken on different events where we started with just a sort of 3-day festival, but in the last couple of years, we've done these sort of smaller exchanges. And we've done one with your estuary actually, where we bring people together to do estuary for a day in their own language, and for the community. And we usually bring a speaker or something there as well to kind of give it something different. But it really is for the community and the community growth, whether it's growth relationally between the people or trying to bring a couple more people in to continue, helping support that natural growth of community building within your lived space. But this festival, we did kind of purposely take a step up where we brought far more speakers than we've ever had, bigger names than we've ever had. But we still wanted to find a way to keep those estuary spirit in mind. So everything we do on the stage, I want to reflect the estuary spirit, where it's a people first, wrestling with ideas. Nothing's off the table, but like we do try to keep it productive and figure out a way to live in that tension of having tension, but not letting it devolve into unnecessary fighting or relational breaking participation, if that makes any sense. But then during the regular scheduled events for full ticket holders and then 2-day tickets, we will have estuary breakout rooms available where people can go and participate in estuary themselves and try it out. And we had to limit it because of the space that we had. Like this was another conversation we're having too with Paul, where in the past we've always put estuary breakout sessions in the program, where it's like we have a specific time where that's all we're doing. No speakers, none of this, just estuary breakout sessions. But to do that without the proper environment for that can sometimes be more harmful to the process of estuary because they don't get a really good experience of those things. So due to some of our venue restrictions, we have, you're good. We have, do you need to pause?
Yeah, sorry, my sister's just getting something. We all good.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So we have these breakout rooms where you can actually have facilitated estuaries in experience that is going to be helpful for that.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of having both, and then built into it too, we have some cultural experiences that kind of get us outside of the thinky talky stuff. So on Sunday morning, we're going to be joining, it's sort of an open practice for a local London choir called Ready Singer One, where they do a cappella singing to video game and anime music.
Oh yeah. So is it like linked to the movie or the book?
The title is, I think,
Yeah.
a play on the Ready
Yeah.
Player One.
Yeah.
But they sing all different things. Like they did Pokemon and Expedition 33, Lord of the Rings. Like there's all these things. And so having that space to go and participate in some cultural experience that is outside. And it's also a free option because we built that in too, because we're also price conscious for everybody. We're not everybody
Yeah.
can afford the full thing. But if you
Yeah.
want to be part of estuary, you want to meet other people in your area or in the world that are doing this, here's a space to do that. You can come, there's no charge. We're just joining this thing that's already open to the public as well. Come be part of that. And then, there's some single event tickets as well for people who want to be a part, but can't, either don't have the time because of family commitments, life, what have you, or the finances to cover the whole ticket. There's still ways you can participate and be involved and try to get this estuary spirit. And for the closing yeah, event.
Hmm.
We're actually doing a live estuary with the speakers in front of an audience. And I think
Oh,
it's the
that's
first time
cool.
we've ever done that. Like
So how many people will
anybody.
that be?
5 to 6.
Oh, that's fun. It's a good size.
Yeah, so having Paul lead an estuary in front of people and everybody being able to put something on the table, I think will be really interesting. So, in all aspects, you kind of have that sense of, because I've always said estuary is sometimes hard to explain.
Yeah,
It's better to show or experience. And
yeah,
so my thought is, well, I kind of want to experiment. Can we show this with people that you might not personally know, but that you have some context of because they create, because they do these things? And I think it's really fun for the speakers as well because they get to put anything on the table. It doesn't have to be their normal talking points. It can be the things they're wrestling with. It can be the things that they genuinely want feedback on because they don't have the answers all locked up in their heads. And then together, the people participating create the conversation.
yeah,
So who knows how it will actually go, but I'm really excited for it. And I think we've got a good group of people together to create something interesting at the very least.
yeah, for sure. I must say, through doing estuary over, I don't know, a couple of years, but I mean, properly now, it's been a good year. Uh, I've come to appreciate it more. I think before, I always thought maybe it's something of a stepping stone, like if you're hesitant about engaging in faith conversations or having serious conversations in your life, then it can be helpful to kind of practice, let's say.
Mm,
But I mean, in my work, I work with kids, I work with people. We're basically talking all day. That's a lot of meaningful conversations as well, and doing a podcast, and I don't know, just being in a marriage and having family. That happens a lot, but then Estuary brings something unique that I find hard to pinpoint exactly. But I really recommend people to just try it and try it properly, which means for me to be vulnerable, to maybe bring something to the table that you're a little scared about bringing to the table. But
yeah,
if you feel like the space is safe for it, that you can, um, it is just tremendously helpful to have a group of people that, well, for me now, that know me as well to a degree. That's, I think, why the value has grown as well for me, because maybe they're better at thinking along to, yeah, to reflect on your thoughts, whether they're intellectual or personal or whatever they may be. It's just so much more helpful to think with other people than by yourself, because you just end up in these, at least I do, these feedback loops. Um, so that's a wonderful aspect of it. And then I think the local thing is amazing because yeah, you're building up something, somewhat of a unique relationship to a group of people that every time you see them, there is a quality of conversation that, for me, that's the reason I keep coming back, that you can't find elsewhere. And then
right.
these events, I think, are awesome, especially for people that have been lurking, because I noticed this in people where if this has all been digital and bubbling up for so long, it's just really good to kind of meet some of the people to break the asymmetry a bit. That for me is also a big part of the podcast at the start, where it was like, okay, I need to kind of see some faces
Yeah.
because otherwise it just becomes a bit yeah, a bit odd. Like there's
Yeah.
something missing, and then after that to be like, okay, what I see in those people that inspires me, I can bring to my local world and be that person.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of our speakers, one of our speakers, Bethel McGrew,
Hmm.
she a while back wrote Paul an email about this comment she saw on one of the Daily Wire videos.
Yeah.
Forget exactly which one it was. It was something with Spencer Clavin and someone else. But anyways, she kind of talked about this comment where this guy was writing about how he was so inspired by Jordan Peterson that he went and he got a degree in philosophy, and he did all these things so that he could have people, he could engage in this conversation, have people to talk to. And yet, after all of this journey of doing that, he still feels like the kid in the candy store with his nose pressed up against the window on the outside, not having anybody to talk to about these things. And I think Estuary opens up the possibility to remedy that feeling that I think so many other people have, where you don't have to sit and look at a screen and watch other people debate these things that you're wrestling with. You can go into a lived community, take responsibility for your beliefs, your ideas, and the way they're playing out, and wrestle with them in a group of people who are trying to do the exact same thing. Now, the health of that conversation will really depend on the leadership and the spirit that you bring into. That's certainly part of it. But I think as Breakwater, more than just bringing a bunch of people together to do Estuary once, we want to bring people together so they can do Estuary over and over and over again in their local contexts, because that is the most helpful way to do it, but it's also the best way to, like, estuary is something that needs to be practiced to really get the value out of it. And so we always have in our events some sort of space where we either have an estuary panel where estuary leaders can come and share their experience, or a space where people can ask questions about how to build estuaries, if they're building estuaries, how do they work through those issues. And I think in the background with Breakwater, something we are trying to develop is figuring out how do we create resources that get other people who are trying to do this thing together so we can help each other build sustainable communities. Because what we're doing is very difficult, to bring people of all different walks of life and their most sacred things together and continue to have some sort of unity. That's almost impossible. It's very difficult. But I think there is a way to kind of make this a little more sustainable and make it helpful for people who need it at the time that they need it. I've just been really encouraged by your guys' estuary. I don't always get to get out to it because I have two children under 3 years old.
Yeah.
And so to take time to get on the train, I don't always have the time, but I'm always so encouraged and just enjoy the company that there is in estuary. And me and my husband, we've always talked about it because we kind of met through this estuary movement.
Yeah.
That's a whole different story. But we always talk about the idea of like the practice in estuary and being intellectually hospitable to people who think very differently to us, and being willing to share ourselves in the face of a potentially vulnerable situation changes you. And there's something about that practice that you can take that sort of ethos, that spirit, I don't know what you want to call it, but that kind of estuary mindset out into the world, and have that ability to have these conversations even if you're not in this group doing this protocol. It like infests in your other lives, that makes other places in your life, I don't know, that makes you more able to see others in your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. That's it.
That's how I experience it. I don't know. Do you find that the same? It
Yeah.
sounds like you do.
No, I do, and I must say it's different every month. I've had times where I'm personally struggling with something deeply. I've had times where I'm just like, okay, I'm not sure. Maybe there's a bit of a bigger group that I should bring anything forth, and then I kind of see, okay, what's playing in all these people's thoughts and minds and lives. Uh, but each time it's deeply human, and that's the biggest quality for me. That indeed there's a reality to that. That's just undeniable, I think. I think you can, when you're in conversation with people, kind of filter them away, or like they're just this. But in an essay, it's really hard not to see a full human being, especially when they're really bringing something forward vulnerably and truly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm really grateful to what it has done for my relationship to my brother, for example. I do
Yeah.
this together with two of my best friends who are in there. That's I wouldn't have all that. I wouldn't be so in the loop on the things that really matter in their life if I didn't have that. that estuary. And of course, it can get more personal actually when you're one-on-one,
Yeah.
but the quality of conversation is lower. So you're getting a lower resolution view of what it is that they're wrestling with. And in estuary, they really get the time and the space to kind of, okay, this is it. Just throwing it on there as eloquently or not eloquently as possible. But yeah, it's real, it's raw, and it's invaluable. I'd like to do it with my with more of my friends, my family. So yeah,
Yeah. No, I think it's really beautiful. And I mean for you, you also have your cousin in there as well in your
yeah, it's
estuary
like
group.
in a mix up. Apparently, my cousin used to be in the same fraternity or some sorts as as one of my friends is in there, who actually we connected because he found my podcast. So I think it's a beautiful example of how the digital and the physical just come together, and then having my cousin there is just a great, a great bonus to that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just so interesting because there's something about like the deepening of relationships within the conversation, but then how it extends outside,
yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
I think that's what the value of the local is. It's not just having the conversation. Because if you just want the conversation, you can then after the conversation, you can go out and have a beer, or you
yeah,
can have a family potluck,
yeah,
or
yeah,
like we're having dinner on Thursday, right,
yeah,
with your wife and your brother and his
hmm,
wife, and these things can't manifest the same way if they're disembodied, if they're not grounded in the local. And those local or those little things that, aren't the meaning questions, quote unquote, right? Like the sharing a meal, the going on a hike. Those things often reveal so much more about what's meaningful, the 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 value of the ideas that we hold sacred. They reveal so much more than yeah the seven talking points of
yeah,
whatever religion you're at, like
yeah,
the theology of the Trinity. I don't know, whatever your hobby horse is.
yeah,
And it's not to diminish those conversations. I think they're wildly important, but what's also wildly important is knowing how to yeah live life next to your neighbors.
yeah, yeah. And I think, people listening, I think I heard conversations like this for years before I acted on it, and please just act on it because it's like it's never too early or too late to do that. It's just something that it's really good to have in your life, like a true local connection and um, going out there and actually becoming a real participant, not just online, but like it has to be embodied in some direction. Um, and then, it's okay if the digital then becomes a bit less, like it's okay. Like for me, the this little corner, all the stuff, it doesn't take much of my attention anymore, but I still really like playing in it.
Hmm.
But it shouldn't be your first priority, at least not for the long term, I think. Uh, I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
you literally found a husband through it,
I
so
found a
you're a great
husband through it,
example of
so
it. Um,
yeah.
yeah, go
But
ahead.
yeah, like the way I kind of look at it is serious play, right?
Yeah,
Like you want it not to be a lifeline or a crutch. You want it to eventually develop into some sort of play that's done seriously, but that has a joy in it, that has a value in it, not because you don't have any other option. And I
yeah,
think it does require a lot of bravery to step out and say, "Hey, I'm going to put my real name and my real face
yeah,
behind my ideas, and I'm going to test them for myself, right?
yeah,
For my own edification, and then maybe it'll be edifying for others as well. But
yeah,
I do think for me, estuary, if it becomes too evangelical in a participant of trying to sell your idea to somebody else,
yeah.
you don't generally last very long in the estuary
No,
because it's just not the space for that. And God love you, if that's your horse. There's plenty of space for that,
yeah,
but there's not always this sort of space for that tension,
yeah,
and not in an ecumenical way of like kumbaya, we all get along. There's lots of conflict and fighting within these things, and there's strong disagreements. But I haven't found anything else that holds on to humanity as well as this does. And so I want to see it keep going. And yeah, we need help to do that. So if you want to come to the festival, June 19th to 21st, London, England, I'll give you the link below. We just love to see people there. And otherwise, if you want to know more about Breakwater, what we do next, what will happen, you can join our newsletter, but you can also join our Discord. I'll give you the link to that as well.
Mm.
For the next couple weeks, on Wednesday nights, I'm going to just be jumping in on the voice chat to talk to people who are going to come to the festival, who want to come to the festival, just to have conversations. So we'll have there. It's always good if you're coming to get some connections online before you go, because it kind of makes it easier than if you're going into a group of strangers. But if you join that, that's the best place to keep updated about what we're doing with events, meeting people who are going to the events, and then yeah, hopefully we want to try and expand that and make it more helpful for people who want to make estuary part of their local communities.
Perfect. Okay. That's, I think, a perfect end to the conversation. I'll
Okay.
see you on Thursday.
Yes.
I'll
I'm
ask.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Can I bring anything?
Oh, no. I mean, if you want to bring something,
Yeah.
bring it. But we got
Okay.
you covered.
Okay. Good. Okay. Let's do that. I'll see you on Thursday. I'll quickly record an intro by myself with the
Okay.
website as well, and I'll put it at the start so it's all as clear as
Okay,
possible.
perfect. I'll send that to you right now then.
Yeah, perfect. Please do. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Cassidy.
Lucas. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys soon.
Yes, you too. All right. Bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye
See
bye.
you.